Good morning. As I was preparing for this morning's sermon, I noticed how much despair and fear and anger I've been carrying. I felt weighted down, and sometimes feels like what I found out is I'm really tired of talking about things that are not working and how bad they are, and that make us feel hopeless. So I decided I'm going to talk about what's good about this world. Even I have to silence all the critical voices in me. I remember back in 2016, I was getting ready to slow down my professional life and ease into retirement when Trump got elected. And I noticed all the social justice work I've done started to backslide. And I felt, okay, my work is not done. I still got to do some more work, but perhaps I need to do it differently. This is when I noticed that every time when there is a disaster, people, strangers, will come out and help strangers. And when the building is on fire, some people will run away, but some people run towards it to save lives. This gave me hope. The little voice inside of me says, this is where the true humanity can be found. So I decided to go back to divinity school to learn how to inspire the true humanity in all of us. But having an aspiration and putting into action are two different things. It's been 9 years since the inflection point of my life. And here I went, found out that we're in this dark hole again. And it feels even darker. And I, being despair and feeling wallowing in this kind of dark holeness, and I realized that perhaps being a chaplain or a minister still haven't done enough, didn't make a difference. But I was reminded that off and on there's a light at the end of a very dark tunnel. May take a long time. So I need to continue to remind myself why I went to school in the first place. And I reaffirm my theology and reassure myself that I had a purpose in life again and again. So in ancient China, there are two schools of thought. These are philosophical teaching. One of them that says people are born good. All we have to do is cultivate the goodness. The other school says people are born bad. We got to do is conquer them and overpower over them. So even in the progressive part of society, it seemed like our work is still about finding the bad, defeating the bad. I've done a whole lot of work for 30 years based on my anger and fear and despair. I thought I was fighting against the evil. I basically been very exhausted, and I want to do something different. So this morning I thought I would explore the good in the world. And here is what I want to show you. This is the yin and yang sign. This is part of Confucian teaching. You notice that in the light side of this circle, there's a speck of darkness, which means even everything seems to be good, there's still something bad, what I call imperfection. But then you see the darkness side of this equation, there's a speck of light. So it feels like even when there's so much darkness, we still have a light that proves to us hope. That's what universe is doing to balance itself, right? So years ago, I traveled to Montana. I toured this ancient cave. As we get down to the bottom of the cave, we noticed there was no light source. We're sitting in total darkness. We could hear the water dripping. We could feel the wetness on the rock where we sat. Gradually, I let my eyes readjust. All of a sudden, I was able to see shadows and some light. This experience really made me feel awed in the way to say, even in total darkness, we still can see the light. So perhaps when we're seeking the good in the world, we might have to start by really letting that one little speck of light shine, and perhaps there'll be more coming. That's the way I learned it from that particular experience. So then the key here is, when I want to help us seek the good, even sometimes desperately, like the title of my sermon, to do this, we need to slow down and perhaps notice the good, first in the natural environment all around us. After several nights of not sleeping, I woke up in the morning and see the sun still shining faithfully. Birds are still singing outside my window. And ducks are sunbathing at a pond on the golf course. As I took a walk down the path, I noticed insects dancing from grass to grass. I think the only thing they need to avoid is the lawnmower. The universe obviously does not dwell on the destruction that humans done to each other. I believe that after we're all gone, it is still going to be here. Carl Sagan, an American astronomer and planetary scientist, talk about the vastness of the universe and the insignificance of human. He helped people grasp this idea of the immense scale of the universe and remind us the earth is nothing but a little blue faint dot. And so we can appreciate this whole idea of cosmic arena that hold more than 100 billion galaxies and tons of stars. This could feel humbling, at the same time very powerful reminder that we should cherish our home. Compared to the universe, we as human beings are not even a speck. Our lives on earth are so short and temporary. So, as a matter of fact, if we look even deeply into the chemical composition of our bodies, at the end, we don't even exist. This feels just right as the Buddha's teaching about the impermanent, the empty nature of human being. Back in August, I lost my best friend, Jackie. That reminds me of nothing stays forever and how precious this tiny moment is we have on this planet. So perhaps in this very precious thing, how do we feel like we should live? That's the question. So perhaps what we need to do is to teach each other to lean into this impermanent nature of our lives and start loving and treating each other and the planet with compassion. The second way to see good in this world is pay attention to people around us. Last time I slowed down, I noticed this old lady sitting next to the window of a cafe. Her face was full of deep wrinkles, but a lot of life stories, I'm sure. And she's probably waiting for some grandchildren for lunch. You never know. So I pay attention to that. Then this reminds me of sometime on the airplane, I'm sitting next to somebody, I would steal a glance of them, and I imagine they probably are having some tender hearts that I didn't know about. I fantasize if we had a conversation, I might discover the optimism, maybe a sense of resilience, even in the face of trauma. Most of the time, what I do is by deep listening to the Uber driver's personal stories and practicing being curious but not judgmental. In the last few days of my friend Jackie's life, one day, she insists that I clean the bottom of her bathroom vanity. When I try to have a hard time getting down the floor, Jackie went down instead. I call out, I say, wait a minute, I'm supposed to be here to help you. You're the one who's dying. And here you are on the floor. We had a good laugh, even though we know end is near. Jackie said, take a picture. I did. And this turned out to be the last picture of her that I have. She got great smile like sunshine. During the Civil War in China, my father, as a general, had to stay in the mainland to continue to fight the communists, while my mother, pregnant with me, was evacuated to the island of Taiwan. But shortly after that, she decided she was going to smuggle herself on a fishing boat back to Shanghai in the middle of the night during a storm because she wanted to be with her family. Years later, my parents migrated to the US to be near me. After my father died, I had to use all their savings to pay for his hospital bill. So because my parents, in their busy life, let their policy lapse. When I told my mother there was no more money in the bank, my mother said, now I don't have to worry about money again. Several of my Unitarian friends had not only been helping and comforting many asylum seekers, but they also had brought some of them into their own home. Obviously, they didn't change the national policy on immigration, but they have done good for those who they have touched. I don't know if you heard about this program called the Pub Prison Program. What it does is training the inmates to train rescue dogs. And originally this idea is to be able to deploy the dogs to help the wounded veterans. But the program benefit the inmates as well, because they found out that at the end, even the hardened criminals have hearts. So looking for the good in all these stories, I found responsibility, loyalty, kindness, compassion, nurturing, tenderness, protectiveness, determination, humanity, humor, optimism, courage, and resilience. These are some of our authentic human quality that we can cultivate. And we need to slow down and let the good show up. Last week, I went to Washington, D.C. to hang out with a group of good friends. One night, we went to the seafood restaurant near Arlington. We sat at a table, covered with newspaper. People all around us pounded on the blue crab with this wooden hammer. Someone said, boy, isn't that amazing? There are homeless people out there. Lots of people got deported. Here we are having such a blessing, such a privilege to have such a meal. And I expected to feel kind of guilty, but what I got is the gratitude, blessing, and privilege all among us. The next night, we decided not to go out. After dinner, we climbed on the sectional in the basement of my friend's house. We binge watched this television show. It's about a hotel in Naples, Italy, full of beautiful beaches, people, and mystery. By 8 o'clock, I started hearing faint snoring all around me. And I thought, this must be what safety, trust, and comfort in the puppy piles feels like. When I don't have any family around, my friends and community are my family. This is the refuge we all need. This is the third way to find the good in the world. So let's talk about family and communities. We humans are not supposed to be alone. We were born as part of a community. To feel safe, we need to keep finding our beloved community where people support each other. Perhaps this is the reason that many UU congregations experience heightened attendance, because people are out looking for refuge, for safety and good. Now, of course, our fellowship is very small, but our relationship is tender and intimate, and our faith is strong. And I like to call this an island of sanity in the middle of a crazy storms. Now, if we paid attention, we might find other islands of sanities like this one. And with our faith and our resolve, we could create more islands. Eventually, connecting all these islands, we may just turn the darkness into light for the world. Now, finally, to see good in the world, we need to cultivate the tenderness and humanity in ourselves. We know we have them because we're born with the good. We have to just go back home to the basic goodness in all of us. So, to look for good in the world, we need to slow down and see the good and the beauty all around us, knowing that our existence is temporary and insignificant. We can let go of the weight we've been carrying and try to heal the world one little bit at a time. That's all we can do. But if all of us do something like this, perhaps we could stretch the universe and bring the good back. To find the good in the community, we need to offer ourselves up, be the refuge for others. This is the good we can always count on. Namaste. Amen. Blessed be.